History remembers few figures as powerfully as Alexander the Great and Napoleon Bonaparte. These men weren't just conquerors, they were revolutionaries who reshaped the world map and redefined military thinking. Alexander, the Macedonian king, carved an empire from Greece to India in a whirlwind campaign of conquest. Napoleon, the Corsican upstart, rose to become Emperor of France, his armies carrying the French Revolution's ideals across Europe. Imagine these titans meeting not across the Gulf of Time, but face to face on the field of battle. Picture the Macedonian phalanxes bristling with spears, clashing against the disciplined ranks of Napoleon's infantry. Imagine the thunder of French artillery against the charge of Alexander's companion cavalry. This isn't just a hypothetical battle. It's a clash of two different eras of warfare. It's a contest between two contrasting military philosophies, two indomitable wills. Who would win? Let's delve into the minds and methods of these legendary commanders to find out. It's a question that has tantalized historians and armchair generals for centuries. A clash of titans, each a master of warfare, strategy, and inspiring leadership. Let the battle commence. Alexander III of Macedon, better known as Alexander the Great, was no stranger to battle. From a young age, he witnessed his father, Philip II, transform Macedonia into a formidable military power. Schooled by the philosopher Aristotle, Alexander's mind was as sharp as his sword. At the age of 20, he inherited his father's throne and dreams of conquering the Persian Empire. Alexander's campaigns were lightning fast, a whirlwind of movement and decisive action. He favored swift strikes, often leading his companion cavalry from the front. His victories at Granicus River, Issus, and Gaugamela showcased his brilliance, shattering the Persian Empire in a mere decade. Alexander's leadership was as crucial as his tactics. He inspired his men, sharing their hardships and leading from the front. His charisma was infectious, binding his diverse army together with a shared purpose. He understood the power of a good story, a powerful motivator for his troops. Napoleon Bonaparte, the artillery officer who became Emperor of France, was a master strategist. Rising to prominence during the chaos of the French Revolution, Napoleon was a master of artillery and a student of military history. He revolutionized warfare, emphasizing combined arms tactics where infantry, cavalry, and artillery worked together with devastating efficiency. His victories at Austerlitz, Jena, and Friedland cemented his reputation as a military genius, outmaneuvering and crushing larger armies. Napoleon's genius lay in his ability to adapt to changing circumstances. He was a master of logistics, ensuring his armies were well supplied, and he understood the importance of morale. He was also a master of propaganda, carefully crafting his image as a bringer of order and progress. Alexander and Napoleon, while both brilliant commanders, approached warfare with contrasting styles. Alexander was the hammer, striking swift and hard, relying on the shock and awe of his companion cavalry charges. His armies were always on the move, covering vast distances to bring the fight to the enemy. Napoleon, on the other hand, was the anvil, preferring a more methodical approach. He relied on careful planning, strategic positioning, and the devastating firepower of his artillery. He would choose his battlefields carefully, forcing his enemies to attack him on ground of his choosing. Their armies reflected their leaders. Alexander's forces were a mix of Macedonians and Greek allies, united by their loyalty to their king. Napoleon commanded the citizen armies of revolutionary France, driven by patriotism and a desire for glory. Section 5. The hypothetical battlefield. A clash of civilizations. Imagine a vast plain chosen for its strategic importance. On one side, the Macedonian army, a sea of bronze and iron. The core of this force is the phalanx, a dense formation of infantry armed with long spears, a veritable wall of shields and sarissas. On the flanks, lightly armed peltasts provide missile support, while the companion cavalry, the pride of the Macedonian army, waits for the order to charge. Facing them, the Grande Armée, a force of unparalleled discipline and firepower. Lines of infantry armed with muskets and bayonets stretch across the battlefield. Behind them, artillery batteries stand ready to unleash a storm of iron. Cuirassiers, clad in shining armor, and hussars, masters of the saber, form the wings of the French army. The air crackles with tension, trumpets blare, drums beat a steady rhythm, and the clash of civilizations is about to begin. Section 6. Alexander's strengths: speed, audacity, and the hammer blow. Alexander's greatest strength was his audacity. He was a master of the offensive, always seeking to dictate the pace and location of the battle. His companion cavalry, the best in the ancient world, could shatter enemy formations with their speed and ferocity. Alexander himself, always at the forefront of the battle, would be a beacon of inspiration for his troops. His armies were masters of maneuver warfare, able to cover vast distances and strike at unexpected locations. The Macedonian phalanx, while seemingly cumbersome, was actually a highly flexible formation, capable of maneuvering on rough terrain. However, Alexander's reliance on close-quarters combat would be a double-edged sword. The devastating firepower of Napoleon's artillery could inflict heavy casualties on the tightly packed ranks of the phalanx before they even clashed with the enemy. Section 7. Napoleon's advantages: firepower, discipline, the anvil. Napoleon's Grande Armée held a significant advantage in firepower. The massed musketry of his infantry could cut down enemy formations at a distance, while the thunder of his artillery could break enemy morale before the battle even began. The French artillery, renowned for its accuracy and rate of fire, could prove devastating against the tightly packed ranks of the phalanx. Furthermore, Napoleon's armies were renowned for their discipline and training. They could perform complex maneuvers under fire, maintaining their formations even in the heat of battle. This discipline, a product of years of drill and experience, would be crucial in withstanding the shock of a Macedonian charge. However, Napoleon's reliance on firepower and maneuver could be exploited. Alexander's companion cavalry, moving with lightning speed, could potentially outflank the French lines and strike at the vulnerable artillery positions. Section 8. The decisive factor: innovation versus adaptation. The clash between Alexander and Napoleon would ultimately come down to their ability to adapt. Could Alexander's speed and audacity overcome Napoleon's firepower and discipline? Could Napoleon adapt his tactics to face an enemy unlike any he had encountered before? Alexander was a military innovator, constantly seeking new ways to utilize his forces. He might recognize the threat posed by French artillery and attempt to counter it with flanking maneuvers or concentrated attacks on key positions. However, the technological gap between the two armies would be a significant challenge. Napoleon, a master of adaptation, would undoubtedly study his enemy carefully, seeking to exploit any weaknesses in the Macedonian battle formations. He might employ a combination of artillery bombardment and infantry charges to break the phalanx, while using his cavalry to counter Alexander's companion cavalry. The battle would be a fascinating clash of styles, a testament to the military genius of both commanders. Section 9. Conclusion: an unanswerable question, an epic spectacle. So, who would win in a battle between Alexander the Great and Napoleon Bonaparte? The truth is, there's no easy answer. It's a question that could be debated endlessly. Too many factors are at play: the terrain, the morale of the troops, the element of chance. What we can say for certain is that it would be a battle for the ages, a clash of titans that would echo through history. Both Alexander and Napoleon were masters of warfare, each with their own strengths and weaknesses. The outcome of such a confrontation would depend on a myriad of factors, making it a truly fascinating, albeit hypothetical, battle. Ultimately, the true value of imagining such an epic encounter lies not in determining a victor, but in appreciating the military genius of two of history's greatest commanders. By analyzing their strategies, tactics, and leadership, we gain a deeper understanding of their impact on history and continue to be captivated by their enduring legacies.